You put your key in the lock, turn the heavy handle, and push the front door open, and there they are, sitting perfectly still, looking up at you as if they've been waiting all day just for this exact moment. But what is actually going through your cat's mind in that very second? You might think they're simply happy to see you, or maybe you cynically assume they're just hungry and waiting for their dinner. But science and feline psychology tell a completely different and deeply emotional story. What looks to us like a simple, everyday hello is actually a complex, lightning-fast ritual of survival, territory, and profound attachment. Today, we are unlocking the hidden language of the doorway greeting. By the end of this video, you will never look at your cat the same way again when you come home. If you want to truly understand the secret world inside your cat's mind, consider joining our community and hitting subscribe. Your cat will thank you for finally learning to speak their language. Now let's talk about what really happens the split second that door opens. Imagine you've just had the absolute worst day at work. Your shoulders are heavy, your jaw is tight, and you let out a long, exhausted sigh the very moment you cross the threshold. Have you ever noticed that your cat approaches you differently on those heavy days? They aren't just sitting there mindlessly waiting for kibble, they are actively reading your energy. Before you even drop your bags or kick off your shoes, your cat is administering an emotional mirror test. According to fascinating research in the field of animal cognition, cats are master observers of human micro-expressions and subtle shifts in our body language. They don't just see you physically entering the room, they process your emotional state in a fraction of a second. I had a friend whose rescue cat, Milo, would usually greet her with a bright, playful chirp and a sprint down the hall. But one evening she came home after a fender bender, physically shaking and holding back tears. Milo didn't chirp, and he didn't run. He walked slowly, tail slightly lowered, and sat quietly right on the toe of her shoe, offering a silent, grounding presence. He had instantly adjusted his entire greeting protocol. When you walk in, they are scanning you. Are you stressed? Are you anxious? Are you bursting with joyful energy? They tailor their approach based entirely on what they read in your posture and face. It's a survival instinct, yes, but it's also an incredible display of cross-species empathy. They are trying to figure out exactly which version of you just walked through the door so they know how to interact. But once they figure out how you're feeling, they have to deal with another, much more offensive problem. And it has everything to do with where you've been. You step inside, close the door, and almost immediately, your cat weaves heavily through your legs, pressing their forehead hard against your shin. It feels like a tiny furry hug, doesn't it? We call this specific behavior bunting. And while it looks like pure affection to us, it's actually an urgent biological necessity for them. To your cat, you have just returned from the untamed wild, and frankly, to their highly refined senses, you smell absolutely terrible. You smell like the exhaust of the subway, the stale air of the office, the chaos of the grocery store, and heaven forbid other animals. In the feline world, scent is the ultimate identification card, and right now, you are wearing the badge of a total stranger. By rubbing their forehead, cheeks, and chin against your legs, they are deploying special scent glands to literally erase the outside world from your body. They are aggressively painting you with their unique, comforting pheromones. Think of a cat I fostered a few years ago named Luna. If I came home after visiting my sister's golden retriever, Luna wouldn't just gently rub against my leg. She would practically tackle my shins, furiously and repetitively rubbing her face on my jeans until she was completely satisfied that the canine contamination was gone. They are reclaiming you. They are putting an invisible chemical sign on you that says, "This human belongs to my family," and they are now safe to be around. It's an act of profound acceptance and territorial love. But don't let all this sweetness and marking fool you, because sometimes that warm welcome at the door is actually an elaborate, self-serving trap. We've all fallen for it at least once. The door opens. Your cat gives a bright, trilling meow, makes direct eye contact, and then immediately turns their back on you. They trot away purposefully, looking over their shoulder just to make sure you're following them down the hall. This isn't a greeting. This is the strategic escort service. You haven't just arrived home to relax, you've just clocked in for your shift. When your cat meets you at the door only to lead you directly to the kitchen or point out a dirty litter box, you are experiencing the fake greeting. In their mind, you are the middle management of their territory, and they have an urgent, pressing agenda that requires your immediate attention. My own cat pulls this maneuver every single Tuesday without fail. The second I walk in, it's a brisk, no-nonsense walk straight to the food bowl. He pauses only to ensure the staff, that's me, is keeping an appropriate pace. The food bowl might even be half full, but starvation isn't the point. The point is management. They know from months of quiet observation that your arrival is the ultimate catalyst for things getting done around the house. They use the doorway not as a place of warm affection, but as a meeting point to debrief you on your daily chores. It's honestly hilarious when you realize you're being micromanaged by an 8-pound animal who sleeps 18 hours a day. But how exactly do they get us to drop our keys, forget our own exhaustion, and obey their commands so quickly? The secret lies in a sound designed to literally hack your brain. You push the door open, and there it is. That very specific, slightly raspy, high-pitched meow perfectly mixed with a vibrating purr. It's entirely different from the chattering sound they make at birds or the low yowl of frustration. This sound pierces right through you, doesn't it? This sound is absolutely no accident of nature. Researchers at the University of Sussex discovered that cats have developed a highly specialized vocalization just for us humans. Science calls it the solicitation meow, but it is much more commonly known as the Cry-Purr. Embedded deep within this purr is a high-frequency acoustic element that exactly biologically mimics the distress cry of a human infant. Your cat has subconsciously learned to weaponize human biology against us. I remember visiting a neighbor whose elderly cat had this manipulation down to an absolute art form. The exact moment the door opened, the cat would let out this pitiful, urgent trill. Even as a guest in the house, my heart rate spiked immediately, and I felt a sudden, irrational urge to feed and comfort an animal that wasn't even mine. When your cat uses this specific sound at the door, it bypasses your logical, adult brain and taps directly into your deepest evolutionary nurturing instincts. You literally cannot ignore it, because your brain is wired to respond to that frequency to keep babies alive. They are using an evolutionary cheat code to make you serve them faster. But if they're so good at timing this psychological manipulation, how do they always know exactly when you're about to walk in? It's not just blind luck. Have you ever noticed that your cat is already sitting at attention by the door before your hand even touches the doorknob? It feels a little like magic. Or maybe you just assume they sit there all day, staring at the wood, patiently waiting for you to return. They definitely don't. Your cat is equipped with a biological radar system that puts our clumsy human senses to absolute shame. We always talk about dogs having great hearing, but a cat's hearing is actually twice as sensitive as a dog's, capable of detecting microscopic frequencies up to 64,000 hertz. Long before you even turn your car onto your street, your cat is already tracking you. They know the exact unique acoustic signature of your car's engine. They recognize the specific metallic jingle of your keys in your pocket from halfway down the block. A viewer once told me a brilliant story about living in a massive apartment building with hundreds of active residents. Her cat would sleep soundly through dozens of heavy footsteps and loud voices in the hallway all afternoon. But the exact moment her specific rhythmic gait echoed from the elevator doors, the cat would wake up from a dead sleep and head straight to the door. They aren't guessing, and they aren't psychic. They are tracking your physical approach with military-grade precision. You are broadcasting your arrival to them long before you even realize you're doing it. But this incredible superpower of anticipation comes with a deeply hidden emotional downside. What happens to your cat when your invisible broadcast is suddenly delayed? Cats absolutely thrive on strict predictability. Inside their tiny, intricate minds is a deeply ingrained, highly accurate internal clock. They don't need to look at a wristwatch or see the sun setting to know that it is exactly 5:30 p.m. As your usual arrival time approaches, your cat undergoes a very real physical and psychological change. Their baseline activity levels spike. They might pace the hallway, groom themselves nervously, or take up their designated position by the doorway. They are actively, mentally preparing for the transition of their territory from a quiet, empty space to a vibrant, active home. But here is the genuinely heartbreaking part of that routine. If you are late, even by just 20 or 30 minutes, that joyful anticipation sours. It shifts into a very real state of low-level anxiety. Think about a time you were stuck in unusual traffic or held up late at the office. You finally walk in, exhausted. Instead of a calm, loving greeting, your cat is a little frantic, maybe much more vocal than usual, or even bizarrely standoffish. They aren't angry with you for being late. Their nervous system is simply dysregulated. Their internal countdown hit 0, the expected event didn't happen, and the door didn't open. For a creature that relies on strict routine to feel safe in an unpredictable world, a delayed arrival breaks the invisible contract they rely on. This makes the fragile moment of your eventual reunion incredibly crucial. In fact, what you do in the very first moments of walking inside matters more than you think. Let's talk about the harsh reality of what often happens the moment you finally step inside your home. You're completely exhausted, heavily burdened with bags or groceries, and probably checking a notification on your phone. It is incredibly easy to just walk right past the cat waiting faithfully at the door, thinking to yourself, "I'll pet them in just a minute when I sit down." But in feline psychology, there is a very critical, rapidly closing window, the 10-second connection rule. If you routinely ignore your cat during the first 10 seconds of your arrival, you are actively, unintentionally training them to stop caring that you came home at all. Cats learn almost entirely through consequence. If their vulnerable, anticipatory greeting is repeatedly met with human indifference, they will eventually abandon the ritual altogether. The emotional bond between you begins to quietly, invisibly fray. So, here is a practical, powerful technique you can use today. When you open the door, physically stop moving. Take one slow, deep breath to intentionally shed the frantic, stressful energy of the outside world. Lower your physical posture, extend a relaxed finger, and offer a quiet, low-energy acknowledgement. Let them sniff you and dictate the terms. I started doing this just a year ago. Taking merely those few seconds to softly say hello before even taking off my coat completely transformed the evening dynamic. It immediately showed my cat that they were the absolute priority, not an afterthought. But why is it so deeply important to them that we greet them right there, exactly at the threshold of the house? The answer lies in fear. Have you ever stopped to really think about what a front door represents to a highly territorial animal like a cat? To us humans, it's just a piece of wood, a simple, convenient exit and entry point. But to your cat, the front door is the absolute most dangerous, unpredictable border of their entire known world. It is the terrifying portal where loud, sudden noises happen, where unknown strangers appear, and where you disappear into the wild unknown every day. It is a perpetual zone of high tension and potential threat. So why on earth do they choose to wait right in the exact middle of the danger zone? It happens because of a beautiful psychological concept known as the secure base phenomenon. When that door finally opens and they see that it's you stepping through, a massive, invisible biological shift happens inside your cat's body. The very sight and smell of you trigger a sudden, profound drop in their cortisol, their primary stress hormone. A woman once shared a touching story about her nervous rescue cat who would bolt and hide under the bed whenever the doorbell rang. But when she returned from work, that exact same timid cat would brave the terrifying entryway just to see her face. She was the shield. Your presence fundamentally, chemically changes the environment for them. You turn the most dangerous, anxiety-inducing part of their territory into a warm, safe haven. They wait at the door because, to them, you are home. The next time you walk through that front door and see those little eyes looking up at you, remember that you aren't just a roommate or a food provider. To your cat, you are the anchor that makes their entire world make sense. If this video helped you see your cat in a new light, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. It really helps our community grow. I'd also love to know where you and your cat are watching from today, so drop your city or country in the comments below. Take care of yourselves and go give your cat a slow blink for me.